Hello, my Archvision of Chaos. This is Vince Valentine EX Turk, and I want to have a discussion. This time, I'm not going to use Final Fantasy footage for this one. I'm actually just going to be on webcam for this one. But we're going to be talking about Crystallis Novia influences in Final Fantasy 15. Now, I have saw some other Final Fantasy YouTubers channel, and I wanted to just do. Well, I wouldn't say it's a reaction or chain reaction, but I want to say that there is some Versus 13 / Crystallis Novia influence in Final Fantasy 15. Such as if you see to start off, let's talk about the ending of Final Fantasy 15. Well, not the ending, but the last parts. And both Final Fantasy 13 2, you see the world get darker after everything Caius has done. Well, it's the same thing when you see the full Star Scourge Dark World. The Star Scourge is pretty much to create the Ragnarok of that universe. Which, I know it sounds crazy, but it could be possible that Final Fantasy 15 could still be part of the Fabula Crystallis Novia. It could still be it, because even if they take the concept of seeds, l'Cie, and foul seeds out of the game, as you can see, the world got even darker than the ones in 13 did. Like after 13 2, when the world got all dark, and Benevelza was to awaken because the death of Etro, the goddess of death, would awaken the god called Benevelza. Well, that story is kind of played the same kind of way, just a little bit in 15, just a little bit. Except the world is in complete Armageddon and disarray at chapter 14, when you go into the dark world. Now, as for the foul sea, I would have to say the foul sea would be the Astrals. It makes sense because all the Astrals look like machines, and if you see Bahamut, at least it makes sense. Now, there are some that hate humans, such as Leviathan, and we already explained Ifrit's case. The case of Ifrit, you can look on my video below if you want to see the tragic story of Ifrit or the origin of the Star Scourge, or go look at my Final Fantasy 15 playlist. I have at least 3 or 4 Ifrit videos to explaining, the Star Scourge, Ifrit, and all that. So we're not going to be discussing the Star Scourge or Ifrit at this point, because what we should say, what I'm trying to say is that it's possible that they're foul sea, and that means that'd make at least the Lucius Kylian bloodline half foul sea, meaning that Arden could be a l'Cie with the power of chaos. Now, they just changed the concept and said he's the Star Scourge. But the Star Scourge, if you've seen the power of chaos within Caius, and this is where it ties it all together, Caius has the same kind of power. A little bit kind of the same power. Now, Caius is not immortal, but Caius could go in any part of time. The power of chaos is 10 times more of the power than anything else in the Final Fantasy universe. Chaos has a lot of powers. Now, Caius' chaos goes back in time, as it could be possible in the original Versus 13. Arden has the power of unwanted immortality the same way, but with the power of chaos, because he's the only l'Cie to do it. And in the Fabula Crystallis Novia game, only l'Cie members, certain l'Cie members, had the power of chaos within them. Because Caius was a l'Cie. He was a l'Cie from the future. And then the concept that they used for Final Fantasy 15 was Ravis' transformation to a sea. Except in 15 they just called it demon. But it was exactly the same thing. Exactly the same shape. As remember when you in Lightning's Return when you fought Snow? When you fought Snow, Snow turned into that weird monster looking thing that covered half his body. That's the same thing Ravis turned into in chapter 13 at the end. Before you go get the crystal and you have to fight Ravis on Tyria. On Tyria is actually a sea. So I even though Tabitha says that this is not connected to the Fabula Crystallia Novia. In my mind, in my heart, I accept it into my heart that it has Crystallium Novia overtones in the game without even labeling stuff. I believe Eos is still Etro. They just renamed her just to slap on the label Final Fantasy 15. But us veteran Final Fantasy players knows the difference. Us veteran Final Fantasy players know the difference between the two. But it's pretty much just written the same way. It's still part of the Fabula Crystallia Novia. Now, they just cut a lot of things hoping that people would forget any overtones from 13, but 15 used a lot of overtones from 13. And that's the truth. The only thing is they made some cuts, cut it in half, and sold it as DLC later. But it still has overtones from Final Fantasy 13. Don't tell me it does not. It is exactly that. But nonetheless, but pretty much the Seath. And the Seath look like monsters. If you remember Idolus's transformation to Theralis, one of the Seath in Final Fantasy 13-2 has the wings and stuff like that. When you go to Future Academia, when those people turn into those monsters, those Seath, it could be the same thing with the Niflheim Empire. What if the Niflheim Empire were a bunch of Lassie? Maybe they flipped the concept around. Maybe this time the fal'Cie are the good guys and the Lassie are the bad guys. In this format, flipped it around, because if this is still connected to that universe, which in my heart, in my mind, it is, but I'm gonna leave it up to you to interpret it. You to interpret if it is or not. But in my mind, I still think Final Fantasy 15 is still part of the Fabula Crystallia Novia in my head. So it could be possible, since it's the end of the world, and the end of the world, the Dark World, is pretty much the Ragnarok, the Dark World. The world covered by darkness. Remember what Bahamut said about Arden? He descends darkness to the world. And, his heart bent on vengeance. That was talking about Arden in that cutscene. What if Arden was a Lassie? And that's one of the other reasons why he couldn't be a pure King of Light, because in this case, the Lassie are the bad guys. The Lassie are the outcast. Not to mention, Arden's an Orbenbright. Possibly an Orbenbright. That's why he has the red hair, and his Armiger royal arms are red. So, pretty much, he's outcast as a witch, pretty much, as well. His power is already too dangerous to be a Lucius Kylian, which would make everyone afraid of him and threaten of him. And not to mention, he had the power of the Scourge as well, and he got, infected by the Scourge and by healing people. So, he couldn't keep very much, but the point is, the reason why I say that Lassie could be the bad guys this time, this is talking about the end of the world. As you can see in chapter 14, it's the end of the world. There's only one safe place in that world, and that was Lestalem. All the other places were covered with darkness and demons, because the world, it was coming to an end. Just like with Final Fantasy 13-2, when you saw the darkness take over and eat up all the city. And then they had to get the Benevelza Ark, and Benevelza took it to a temporary world until Lightning, or should I say, the new Etro, fixes the world, which she did, and defeated Benevelza, and pretty much created a paradise world for that period of time. That same world that was in Lightning's return could easily be the same world of Lucis. If you really take a good look at Lightning's Return's concept for levels, the Dead Dunes, in the Omen trailer, you do see a desert place with the boat that's in there. Now, there's no boat in Lightning's Return, but there's the Dead Dunes are pretty much a sandy place that looks like the Niflheim territory. That's the sand part where you go into that swamp to get that royal arm. And if you look at I forget what it was called, Jagged Village or something like that. I think it's Jagged Village. Or Jagged Airs. I can't remember what it was called. The forest part. The forest part of that looks a lot like looks like Duskay or Duskay or Dusade or whatever you want to call it. Looks a lot like Dusade. And if you call what that is, Luxurion looks just like Insomnia. Just a less modern version. You know? That's why I said, could it be connected to Crystallis Novia? Even though Tabata denies it. Even though he denies it. Look at the worlds. Play Final Fantasy 13, Lightning's Return. Play Final Fantasy 15. The worlds look similar. I think Insomnia was once Luxurion, long time ago. They had the same things, except Insomnia. Except for Insomnia. Insomnia is futuristic. So this would happen years and years and years and years down the line. So what does that tell you? What does that tell you? And what if... I'm trying to think, what was that one sea that Snow was in? What was it? Can't remember what it was called, but you know, where Snow was the patron of. But I think it's not Yevon. I'm trying to think of what it is. Sorry if Yevon's Final Fantasy X. Can't remember. Ooh, this is hard for me to remember. But that one place that you find Snow in. Don't tell me that does not look like Lestalem. It has the same build up as Lestalem and still kept that build. Except the meteor probably divided, and that's why it's on a huge mountain. It was once on the ground. Not to mention, you know, the little trolleys up there. But the point I'm trying to say is, what if Lucis was the future world of the world that was in Final Fantasy 13 Lightning's Return? Think about it. The games are supposed to go in order. Type 0 is at least, I'm going to at least say, 500 years before Final Fantasy 13. Then the Lightning Saga goes the way it does. You know, that timeline is right there. Then after that timeline, it shifts all the way down like 1,000 years later. And this is what I call the Noctis Saga, because it focuses on Noctis and the Kings of Light. So this is I wouldn't call it the Noctis Saga. I'd call this the Lucis Saga. So, in my mind and in my heart, I still think somehow the Fabula Crystallis Novia does affect Final Fantasy 15. But again, this is only a fan theory, so please do not get mad and send hate my way. It's just what I think it is. You have your own interpretations of what something is, and I'm really sweaty and I want to get, I kind of want to relax, so I'm going to end this video right here. But just pay attention to the world of the new Pulse, or whatever it's called, Lightning's Return, and the world of Lucis. 1,000 years since Lightning is beat Venevelza could make that go to 1,000 years and have everything it is. Luxurion becomes Insomnia. That one place that Snow lives, I forgot what it's called, becomes Lestalem. So may the crystal be with you. This is only a fan theory. Tell me what you think about this theory. Comment, share, do all that good stuff. Subscribe.